What is the best programming language for game developers? Are you interested in developing video games but unsure about the ideal programming language to learn? Although C++ is the most common response in the sector, there are arguments to be made for alternative languages. The greatest languages to learn will be discussed in this video, along with a breakdown of some of those. What are the finest programming languages for beginners, especially those who have never done it before? In addition, we'll discuss several scripting languages you might want to learn, and depending on the sort of game development, we'll provide some deserving honorable mentions. C++. Let's now briefly discuss why C++ is and has been the most often used language in the gaming sector. There is an easy solution: it speaks quite quickly. C++ is a highly efficient language that, when used correctly, may produce excellent performance. It generally doesn't perform as much validation as other languages, which partly explains why it is so quick and partly why it is a more dangerous language. Because of this, if you've never programmed before, I strongly advise against learning C++ as your first programming language. If you're a newbie, there are superior programming languages that can teach you how to program. I can't stress how much I advise those of you watching to start learning C++ if you don't already know how to program but lack significant C++ experience. C++ is a need if you want to develop on consoles. As a game developer, 90% of the positions you'll apply for will require some level of C++ knowledge, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Rust may someday play a role, but it hasn't quite arrived. The present is still largely dominated by C++, and as a side note, Rust is a fantastic programming language if you've never heard of it. C#. What happens, therefore, if you've never programmed before or if you simply want to learn something a little bit different than C++? Let's suggest using C#. Some people study C# as their first programming language because it's a fantastic introduction to programming. You can learn the fundamentals of programming well from it. It's a very object-oriented language, making it a great starting point for learning more complex material like C++. C# is a good language to have in your toolbox because it gives you access to more employment offers and is also frequently used by Unity. You are aware that there are a lot of people looking for Unity developers. Therefore, it's a big step forward if you are familiar with C# and can develop in Unity. You should include that on your resume. The transition to C++ is also not that difficult. There are some subtle changes, and C++ is more difficult to learn, but learning C# can help you quickly master many of the foundations. Scripting language. Additionally, learning a scripting language will be helpful to you if you want to work as a game developer. Now that scripting languages are rather simple to learn, you don't necessarily have to choose the best one. As far as I can tell, Lua is the one that most people use. Although Lua isn't actually going away, it isn't the language of the video game business either. But it's a helpful and simple language to learn. Learn a scripting language, but not for the sake of learning the language, rather, learn it to become a scripter. You can use Unity instead of Lua and then utilize C# scripting or any other available option within Unity. Games frequently employ scripting, primarily for UI and animation purposes. But after mastering one, most people never actually have any trouble learning any other programming language. Therefore, this is primarily simply a suggestion that you try learning a scripting language. Honorable mentions. A handful of honorable mentions will round up this video, one of which is Rust, which was briefly discussed in the C++ part. Many people, including myself, sincerely believe that Rust is a good language and may end up becoming the programming language of choice for the gaming industry in the future. Simply put, it is extremely comparable to C++. It still uses a lot of the same syntax, but it has been slightly enhanced and refined. It does require some support, but it's still something you should consider. The other one I want to emphasize is that Java is probably a halfway great language to learn if you're genuinely interested in mobile programming. JavaScript is another. You might associate those languages with Java and JavaScript, and you would be correct. Although they have absolutely nothing in common, they work well for web and mobile development, so if that's what you want to focus on, these are good possibilities. Once more, if you want to build games, learn C++. That's about it if you just want to learn how to program. Learn C#. I appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Let's carry on with our programming adventure.